Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Soph. For today's video, I am doing a July TBR of sorts. I've kind of been in a big reading slump, which is why there has not been a whole lot of videos going on after being so consistent for so long. But I'm kind of coming out of that slump now with the thanks to a certain popular book, which you will see in a moment. But I just thought I would do a little video on my kind of loose plans for my July reading. Now I do have 2 weeks off in July because my birthday's in July, so I always take 2 weeks off. And I always plan to get a lot of reading done and it never happens. But without further ado, I'm just gonna get straight on into the video because I'm sure you don't want me rambling on. So I'll start the video off with the book that's got me out of my reading slump, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now mine doesn't have the cover on it because I have actually already started it. I am on page 179, so I'm probably like a third through the book, and when I read hardbacks I always take the covers off so that they don't get creased like when I'm reading it. But yeah, so I plan to finish this in July. Honestly, this will probably be finished by the end of this week, if not by the end of today, depending on what I do today. Yeah, loving it, literally obsessed. I have wanted a decent dragon book since I got back into reading like 2 years ago. Or a year ago, however long it's been. Probably 2 years ago now, actually. And I ended up buying Dragon Keepers by Robin Hobb secondhand just because it was kind of the only dragon book that was talked about like at all, let alone like in a good light. So I do have Dragon Keepers, but I've not picked it up because I just haven't been in the mood for it, and I have this feeling that I'm not gonna love it as much as I love this. Obviously before this existed I didn't know that, but I just have this feeling that it's not gonna be the kind of book that I want with dragons in it. However, Fourth Wing is everything and more. So really enjoying it. If you do have any other like similar to Fourth Wing books that you can recommend me, please do, because I need more sassy dragons in my life. They don't have to be sassy dragons, but if you have anything similar to Fourth Wing, please leave them in the comments below. Next up on the agenda is from Blood and Ash. This is a reread for me. I wanted to reread the series and annotate it, and also because when I first read From Blood and Ash, only the first 3 books were out, and this was the only one that I had physically. The other 2 I ended up reading on an ebook, which just doesn't have the same effect. If you're an ebook person, then that's fair enough, but for me, I'm definitely a physical book person. I like reading ebooks because I can read them on the go, because I don't like taking my books places with me. Now that I've got every book that's out currently in the series physically, I wanted to reread it so that I could go and read the prequels and then be ready for the next book that comes out. Now, I've obviously fallen a little bit behind because the next book actually comes out this month. However, I do still intend on rereading it and reading the other books. And then, because I haven't read War of Two Queens, Shadow in the Ember, or the one that comes after that, so I'm actually the only ones I've read are the first 3 that came out, so I do have a lot of catching up to do. When I first read this, I was literally obsessed, and I literally couldn't read any other book until I had read all the books that were out, and then the other books came out and it had been too long, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna reread this, then continue through the series until I get to the books that I haven't read yet, and then read them, and then I will read obviously the new one that's coming out this month. And I'm kind of doing the same with ACOTAR, except I'm listening to the graphic audios, which if you haven't given them a go and you love ACOTAR, please do. It is so good. You can't really listen to them on a higher speed. Like, I would normally listen to my audiobooks in like 1.8 to 2 times speed, but you lose all the effect if you do that with the graphic audios. But it really is like a movie in your head. It's amazing. Like, literally, I don't think I could ever listen to the normal audiobooks. They're on Scribd if you have a Scribd subscription, or if not, if you're in a place where you can, I would definitely recommend it. If you hadn't noticed, the theme for this month is fantasy romance. Next up is These Twisted Bonds, which is the second and final book, I believe, to these hollow vows. This is the Fairy Loot edition. I'm not going to tell you what this one's about. I don't really know myself, to be honest, but first book is about a girl whose sister is sold to the Fae realm. So she goes to the realm in order to get her sister back, but she ends up being kind of caught between the Seelie court and the Unseelie court, and it just kind of goes from there while she's on this like mission to get her sister back, but she ends up being stuck in the middle of a war between like two courts, and that's all I'm gonna say on it. But it's really, really good. It definitely gives like a mix of ACOTAR and Throne of Glass vibes, especially the two like love interests. But yeah, so I just thought it was about time, because I read these Hollow Vows like basically when it came out, and I just thought it was time to finish the series because I did really enjoy it when I was reading it originally. Number 3 is one that I was highly anticipating when it came out, and then again I've just kind of fallen off the series somehow, and that is Kingdom of the Feared by Kerry Maniscalco. Now, I loved Kingdom of the Wicked. I enjoy the Kingdom of the Cursed, and I am hoping for a good finale with Kingdom of the Feared. Basically, the story follows a witch and her twin, but her twin gets murdered, and so our main character is like trying to find out what happened to her sister, and in doing so she ends up forming a sort of alliance agreement with a Prince of Hell, which is Wrath, and he is a brilliant book boyfriend. So if you like witches and romance and like demons and devils and stuff, please give Kingdom of the Wicked a go. I read the first one back when I was first getting back into reading, and it really like just threw me in that. I was obsessed, and I'm kind of sad. I think I've been putting it off because I don't want the series to end, but she's also written a spin-off about envy, so I'm gonna finish the series hopefully with this, although I'm kind of thinking maybe I should reread the other two because it's been a while and I feel like there's probably important information that I've completely forgotten. Next up was also on my last TBR that I did. I can't remember which month that was. I think it might have been May, maybe April. But that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know I am probably like the last person to read this on earth, but for some reason I cannot. Every time I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go, I read like the first page and then I'm like, you know what, no, not today. So I'm hoping that this month is at least the month that I start the series. Not necessarily finish it, but I want to start it so I can at least say that I have started it. I'm sure everyone knows what this book is about, but from what I gather, it's about a girl and her sisters whose parents get murdered, and then they get whisked away to the fairy court, and there's like a prince that's kind of not very nice, but is kind of nice to our main character. That's the kind of gist I get from it. Okay, so I could be completely wrong, but my next book is Crush, which I think is the second book to Crave, but now I'm not so sure. Oh, it is book 2. Thank gosh. I thought I just read that it was like the 4th book. Okay, so yeah, Crave follows a girl who attends this boarding school, but she doesn't know that everyone is like supernatural except her. So she's kind of wandering around, and then she kind of starts to like find out things, and I really enjoyed it, but there were so many times where I was literally shouting at her, how do you not know this boy is a vampire? Because she would be like, his skin is cold, like so many times. It got like almost all the way through the book before she realized that this boy and his group of friends were vampires. And I was just like, girl, there is no way somebody is that like ignorant. There is no way that somebody can not know. But she figures it out. She's like really drawn to this vampire as well, and I believe they do start off as enemies. And her best friend is a werewolf, I believe. I can't quite remember. It's been a while since I read Crave, but I just remember really enjoying it. It was a fun time. I love vampires and anything like supernatural, so this sort of setting is one of my favorites to read. I don't care if it's meant to be like YA or anything, it is one of my favorites to read. So I'm really excited to carry on the story. There is like another 5 books after this one, so it's gonna take me a while to get through them, but I'm excited to at least make a step. Second to last, we have Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. Again, this was on my TBR like the last time I did one, and I still really want to read it. I never got around to it. I ended up in that slump, but I am desperate to read this book. I've heard that this is like her best series. and I want to continue on with the Last Hour series afterwards, so I really need to get a start on this. Plus it's set in Victorian London. Like, who doesn't love Victorian London? I just know that I'm gonna love it and I need to just get on with that. And finally, the only one that isn't fantasy but it is still romance is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read Seven Husbands a couple months ago and absolutely loved it. I think I spoke about it in a video, or I hope I did anyway. It was literally, I couldn't put it down. Literally could not put it down. Everyone was raving about it and I put it off, and then I read it and I was like, you know what, I get it. I get it. So I went and bought like 5 more of her books, and Daisy Jones and the Six is obviously one of her other really popular ones, and it follows a band from what I remember. Yeah, so it's like an interview with the band, I think. Kind of like the band telling their story. So I am very, very excited to read this one. And there you have it. That is my kind of loose TBR for July. I am trying to mood read so that I don't fall into a slump, but these are the kind of books that I'm feeling right now, especially with like me reading Fourth Wing right now. The fantasy romance vibes are definitely like there in my brain right now. All I can think about is fantasy romance. So I'm very excited to start these books after Fourth Wing, and hopefully I get a good amount of them read. But again, like I said, it's a loose TBR, so if I feel like reading something else, I will. Oh, another one that I forgot to talk about is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by, is it Clarissa Broadbent? Again, it's been highly talked about on TikTok, YouTube, everyone. It follows a world of vampires and a girl who is human, but she's been taken in by a vampire. She's lived amongst vampires like her entire life, but she still kind of feels on edge, even though she has her dad's word that she will be safe, but she doesn't feel safe as a human within the vampire lands. So she actually, to prove herself, she enters these vampire trials, and that's kind of all I know from there, and that there's obviously romance. So I have been thinking about reading it on my Kindle because I don't have the physical book yet, but honestly I probably will just get it because I feel like it's going to be a book that I want to annotate, and there is a second book out now, so watch this space. But yeah, that is everything that I kind of hope to read in July. If you liked this video, please give us a big thumbs up because it really helps, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave so you don't miss the next video, whenever that may be. Soon, hopefully. Bye guys.